Today I'm going to show you how to make an easy cauliflower fried rice. Again, guys. Well, today I'm going to finally show you how to make a fried rice. I'm actually going to do this version with cauliflower. The version I did before that you may have seen in the vlogs was with rice. But let's look at the ingredients we're going to use today. We're going to need cauliflower. You can use fresh cauliflower and rice it. You can get already riced cauliflower. What I have is just a frozen cauliflower florets that I'm going to chop up into about the size of rice. You need vegetables of your choice. I'm going to use frozen mixed vegetable. We're going to need 2 eggs, onion, soy sauce, or in our case I'm using liquid aminos, garlic, salt and pepper, and butter. Now, like I said, I have made this recipe with rice and it turned out so good. We're trying to eat lower carbs, so I want to try a version with the cauliflower rice this time. I'm going to get all of my ingredients prepped, and while I do that, I'm going to show you how I do make my rice in the Instant Pot. So let's go to that video now. I'm going to show you a quick and easy way how I make rice in the Instant Pot. I usually use a brown basmati rice, but you can use any rice that you want. The first thing I always do anytime I'm using the Instant Pot without the wire rack is I spray the bottom so things don't stick. I always use coconut oil, so I'm just going to spray the bottom of that really good. Get it good and coated. And now we're going to make our rice. This is so easy. Basically, you're just going to put everything in there and let it cook. So I am going to do 2 cups of rice. So let's measure out 2 cups of our rice. That's 1 and 2. The next thing we're going to add is you want to add liquid. Most people use water. I think I've told you all before, we prefer using bone broth. This is the bone broth that we use. You can find this in Whole Foods, Trader Joe's. Not all of them have it, but most of them do. Natural grocers, anywhere like that. I found that this 16.2 fluid ounce thing of bone broth is the perfect amount for 2 cups of rice. They have different flavors. This one is a mushroom chicken. They also just have a plain chicken or a plain beef flavor too. They might have a couple other flavors, but this is the one I'm going to use. So I'm just going to give this a good shake and open it up. And I'm going to use this whole box of bone broth for my 2 cups of rice. We're just going to pour that right in there. Next, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. Lastly, we're going to use 1 tablespoon of butter. I have the Kerrygold unsalted butter. I like the Kerrygold because it's from grass-fed cows. It's real butter. It's not like a margarine or anything like that. And it has a good flavor. And I'm using the unsalted version because, as you've seen, I just added salt. So I don't want any additional salt. So we're just going to drop our 1 tablespoon of butter in there. Now I'm just going to give this a nice little stir to kind of get things mixed up. Then we're going to cover our Instant Pot. Going to set it to sealing. And then I'm going to cook this on manual for 30 minutes on high pressure. Once it's done cooking at 30 minutes, I'm going to let it release the pressure naturally and our rice should be done. Alright guys, so our rice is cooked for 30 minutes. It's naturally released the pressure. That took probably about 10 minutes. I'm just going to move this to venting just to make sure nothing comes out. We're good to go to open it. Let's see what it looks like. Alright, and there we have it. There is our rice, perfectly cooked. So that's how I make rice in the Instant Pot when I'm going to be using rice. Now, one key trick I will tell you, if you are going to be using rice to do your fried rice, you want to make sure you either use leftover rice or make your rice the night before, let it sit in the refrigerator. The cold rice, when you fry it, is going to cook better than if you make your rice and then instantly try to do it in your fried rice. A lot of times it'll get mushy. So do it the night before, or if you have leftover rice, that's great. So I've got all our ingredients ready now. What I've done is I've chopped up my cauliflower. For the cauliflower and the veggies I'm using, I did let them thaw out before I use them. You want them thaw, you don't want to use them frozen. And I've just chopped up my cauliflower as finely as I can to resemble rice. Once I got it all chopped up, I did take paper towels and I got most of the moisture out. As you know, cauliflower, it's got a lot of moisture in it. So you want to get as much moisture out of it as you can. Just use paper towels and blot that until you get most of that moisture out. So the first thing we're going to do with this recipe is we're going to cook our 2 eggs. I've got my skillet preheated here at 300. Another key to this recipe is using butter. I'm using unsalted Kerrygold butter. That's maybe about 1/2 to a tablespoon of butter. We're going to just add our eggs. I've just broken them and scrambled them. You want to cook your eggs, scramble them until they're cooked through. So our eggs are done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove our eggs from the pan and set them aside. I'm just going to put them in a bowl here. Not the same bowl you mix the egg in. You don't want to put your cooked egg in with any raw egg. We are going to set that aside and turn our burner back on to 300. I usually cook most things at 300 with this cooktop. We're going to add some more butter, about another tablespoon. Let that melt. Our next step is we are going to add onion. I've just got some purple onion already chopped up. That's probably about 1/2 cup of onion. We're going to use all of that. Then we're going to add some garlic, and you can add however much garlic to taste that you like. That's probably equivalent to about 2 cloves, maybe 1.5 cloves of garlic. And we're just going to saute that in the pan here a few minutes to get those onions and garlic kind of cooking. So it's been a few minutes. Our onions are starting to turn translucent. So the next step is we're going to add our veggies. Now you can cut up fresh veggies. I like to use frozen vegetables. It's just easier for us. And these, like the cauliflower, I let them thaw so they're not frozen any longer, and I just drained any excess water out of them. We're going to add those right into the pan with the onion and garlic. We're just going to stir this up. You're going to cook this for probably 5 minutes or so, as long as it takes to get your veggies cooked through or starting to become tender. Alright guys, so our veggies are getting nice and tender, so we are going to do the next step. What we're going to do here is we're going to add our cauliflower rice into our vegetable mixture. Before I do that, I'm going to add about another 1.5 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to let that melt. Once the butter is melted, we're going to add our riced cauliflower. And this is the point where you would add your regular rice if you were using regular rice. So that's getting good and melted. So I'm going to take my riced cauliflower and I'm just going to dump it right in the pan with our veggies. And I just chopped this up best I could. If you have a food processor or a cheese grater, if you're using fresh cauliflower, that works really well to rice the cauliflower. And like I said, they do sell frozen rice cauliflower, which usually I have on hand. I just didn't have any. This is the only cauliflower we had, so this is what I'm using. So once we have that kind of stirred and incorporated, we are now going to add our soy sauce, or in our case, our liquid aminos. You want to add this to taste. 3 to 4 tablespoons is what I'm going to add. And you can do it to taste. I'm gonna do 4 tablespoons. Now you can do more or less of this. Just remember, you can always add more later. You can't take it away. We're gonna mix that in. And then we are also gonna season this a little bit with some salt and pepper to your taste. And I'm gonna use a little more pepper than I do salt, just because the liquid aminos, or if you're using soy sauce, of course, has salt in it. So you don't want it to be too salty. And again, this is one of those things that you can add more later. We're just gonna get this stirred nice and good. Now what you're gonna wanna do is we're gonna let this cook until our cauliflower rice gets tender, which could take probably anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. One thing I did forget to tell you, you do wanna turn your burner up to high. I'm turning mine up to 350 from 300. That's gonna help cook that and fry that cauliflower. If you were using rice instead of cauliflower, basically your rice is already cooked, so you're just wanting it to fry and heat through with your veggies. So that's all you would have to do with that. With the cauliflower, since it's not already cooked, I'm cooking it long enough to soften it up a little bit, but not too much because we don't want it mushy. Alrighty guys, so our cauliflower is getting nice and soft and cooked through. Now our last step we want to do is we want to add our egg that we scrambled in the beginning into our cauliflower rice mixture. So we're just going to dump that in and incorporate it, and basically just cook this for about another 2 to 3 minutes to get that egg heated back up with the dish. Get it nice and mixed in. There we go guys, that is our finished dinner. Cauliflower fried rice. How easy is that? It's even easy if you use rice as well. I will leave 2 recipes linked down below. One is for this version using cauliflower. One is for a version using regular rice. I have used both recipes and they both are delicious. This is something that's super easy to make, and you can kind of do it to your taste and put whatever veggies you'd like in it. You could add a meat into it if you'd like, chicken, pork. The sky's the limit on this one guys, but it's so delicious and tasty. If you like Chinese food or any kind of fried rice, you're really gonna like this recipe. If you do make this, come back and let me know how you like it. I hope you guys liked the video. Again, remember, check the description box for the recipes. Thank you guys as always for watching and subscribing.
Until our next video.
Peace, love, and expediting.
Give me food. I want food.
It's grass-fed from grass-fed. It's from